with Todd being on the show for 1986, we decided to invite him back for 1987.
Yeah,
I'm happy to be here.
We're happy to have Todd LaTorre, Queensryche lead singer, here with us again today to explore.
What's going on here, Alan? What's going on here?
We got a little promo happening.
What's going on here? Latest album. Pick it up. There it is. There it is. Pick it up.
Thank you. You know, the next time you have somebody else on here for like 1988, I'm going to feel a little cheating on here.
We'll see. We'll see how it goes.
We'll play it by ear.
Hey, you know, 1987, man, you know, looking at our list, I think it's the year of the comebacks. Yes. And at the same time, I think the cracks were starting to show. There was some stuff that was just kind of like treading water, nothing too innovative. If it worked the first 4 times, it should work the 5th time. So we're interested to see the list. There's some reasons why some fantastic albums behind me may not have made the list. And again, some bands were starting to break up. So the tensions, the touring, the stress, like Dokken, you know, Back for the Attack was probably their last album for quite some time. And that's just a few examples of we're starting to see, for me, the cracks are starting to show in 87 a little bit. So.
Yeah, I agree with you, Alan. It's what we had was hair metal moving in one direction and thrash in the other direction, and then sort of like the guys who've been around a while kind of losing a little focus. Would you agree?
Yeah.
I think that, and I think our list covers all of those items, Jim. Yeah, right. I think big business. We're starting to see dollar signs, and they were kind of influencing. You know, signing Dokken Generation 5 by this point. So
real quick, I have my phone on up here so I can see people commenting and chiming in. So thank you to everyone for doing that. Somebody's asking what I'm eating.
Feta.
I tell you,
I'm eating real feta that's imported from Greece. And so last time I was going to the refrigerator, and I have all my snacks and everything right here, so I don't have to leave and
you're
be
ready.
that guy.
You're ready.
Only the most observant viewers are found on the Metal Voice.
That's
so
right.
They picked up on that right away, and now I'm ready when you are, Jim.
Okay, so as you guys can see, I've also have the pictures. There's going to be some PowerPoints here with the albums. Let's start with number 10. You ready?
All right.
I'm just gonna say this is Alan's pick right off the bat.
Yeah.
Okay.
Look,
this is Alan's
4
pick.
years in the making.
Here it is.
4 years in the making. I'm going. Anybody that's been watching the show, Anvil, Strength of Steel. We know we try to get Anvil into every show that we do, but this one's with some merit here. Getting burned by the big boys, losing focus, and trying to become the next Bon Jovi. Lips redirects the band to back to their classic sound, and I think. The guitar solos, the drummings, and even the lyrics are some of the strongest they've ever done in their career. That's saying something for a band that's been around since '79, right? So, again, for me, it's a strong album and 4 years in the making. And when it came out, I think I bought it within the first week of it coming out.
Look at that.
So that's how important it was for me to pick up that album after a 4-year hiatus. So,
it's definitely a metal-looking classic. It's got that look too, doesn't it? It's just like
following of course, Strength of Steel, Metal on Metal, Forged in Fire, their tradition. And they actually got a video.
Documentary. You know, not to rain on the parade, but I didn't know who they were until that documentary came out.
A lot of people didn't know who they were until that documentary.
Okay, but Todd, did you think they were a real band, or was it like a Spinal Tap documentary, a mockumentary?
No, I thought it was a legit band that just didn't get their fair share.
Some guys thought they were actors.
No, I thought they were. I mean, the passion. When you watch that thing and they're playing these dives, and they still go in with every bit of heart and soul into those performances, it's like they're obviously doing it for the love of it and the passion of it. And I just thought that was so cool. And then we played festivals, and I had seen them. At catering, and like they were on the same billing or whatever, you know, the big festivals in Europe. And I don't think I ever met him. I think I met the singer once for like a second, but you know, I really learned to appreciate them as people, and like their passion to do what they love doing, which is playing and writing music. So that documentary opened me up to a band that I had no idea was on the rise and doing that big stadium show with Metallica and everything else.
First time I saw Anvil, they were opening up for Iron Maiden on the Number of the Beast tour.
Gosh.
And it was, you know, back then they were just, you know, that was sort of like, I would call it, they're just starting to peak, right? And then people are just grasping onto them. And anyways, this album, Strength of Steel, it is a surprise for me, Alan, because I kind of like shy away from sort of that mid catalog of Anvil. I love the later stuff and I love the early stuff. Even though this is their fourth album, I love the hard rocking guitars and the drums, and it's a really cool album. You know,
that's why I wanted to talk to Todd. Put on your drumming hat now, not your singing hat, your drumming hat.
He's a great drummer. He's an awesome drummer.
I wholeheartedly agree. One of my favorites of all time for sure. Of course, that's the back cover that really threw everybody off with what appears to be a pot belly here and the puffy hair. They said that's not the Anvil we know. And
where's the drummer on there?
Rob Reiner.
Rob.
Oh, there he is. Yeah,
looking totally
so young, man.
Yeah, and you know, he's got such a disposition. You know,
yeah.
You know, like if you see him crack a smile, it's almost like this nice little treat because he seems just really serious all the time. But you know, yeah, awesome drummer.
All right, let's move on.
Yep.
All right, now this is so right before the show, I talked to Todd about this. So Alan, you're not a privy to this. This is version 7.2. I go, I want Manowar. But then Todd goes, Back for the Attack is one of my favorite albums. So I go, okay, let's just cheat here a little bit. Number 9 is Dokken, Back for the Attack. And I know, Alan, you wanted Back for the Attack on there.
I got it right here.
I love that. That's my favorite.
And Todd, you could speak to Back to the Attack, and I'll speak to Manowar.
Sure.
I mean, cheating, but you know what? What's a little cheating between?
It's our show. We can do what we want.
That's right. Go ahead.
I think, I mean, that's my go-to Dokken record, and I have all the albums. I love Dokken. One of my all-time favorite bands. The other day, I was out doing stuff in the garage, and I had the whole Back for the Attack album on. Before we even had this on the list, by the way. I just always love that record. Every song on it to me is awesome. And I mean, that record, you know, honorable mention for that record. Was it the breakthrough album for them? No. I would say, like, you know, Under Lock and Key was a big record for them, but that's my favorite Dokken record. And
Dream Warrior, right? The song Dream Warrior.
Yeah, it's a great.
You got Prisoner on there.
Oh, it's so
Kiss
good.
of Death.
Dude, I know them all. I can play all those songs on drums. I know. You can sing every guitar solo with your mouth. I mean, it's just so good that, yeah. I mean, it's a very noteworthy album to at least mention since it's
I think it's one of their best-selling albums. Alan,
I'm not going to argue with Todd because it's my favorite album too. I wasn't too. I heard the first Dokken, then I heard Alone Again off of Tooth and Nail and some good songs, obviously because I can appreciate them a lot more. But I was going for more of the heavier stuff and not the melodic stuff. So this album took me back to a much more heavier sound and much more rootsy sound. And it is my favorite from the catalog as well, even though it's got deep tracks. There's not that big hit like Alone Again or, a few of the other songs from the other albums. But every song, like Todd said, it stands on its own and it's really great. And again, George Lynch's guitar, what more do you want to say?
Well, yeah, it's a killer record, but just so that your viewers know,
yes,
you need to explain the criteria because some people will be like, "That's fucking bullshit."
All right, so here's the criteria. We do what we want. First of all, we would do what we want. That's criteria number 1. We do what we want at the end of the day. But
the criteria was a very key factor as to why some of these are the way they are.
Exactly. So sales. Important.
Oh, you look at the sales. Well, Jimmy always looks at the sales.
I look as it's a mix. Sales. Is this a genre defining album, right? Is this the band's go-to album or breakthrough album, right? They're known for this album. And there's also critique's choice, because a lot of time there's great albums like, let's say, Anvil, but maybe the right management wasn't there to push it to where it needed to go, right? So there is that factor too. So it is subjective to that point.
Because you could say, you know, the Anvil didn't meet the sales criteria, but maybe that was a breakthrough album for them. And we're going to go through some of these albums where they certainly, even though they're not my favorite from the band, they were that album that really put them up there and got them, you know.
And I just want to throw out another point. You're talking about criteria. Okay, guys, we're not 2021. We're 1987. So when you say, well, that's not a metal album, that's a hard rock album, compared to what? Pig Anus today? Or Pig Vomit, or whatever you want to call it? No, we're comparing it to what was at the time, right? And at the time,
I'm getting hungry now.
Everybody was getting lumped in together, you know, whereas, you know, Kiss, who did a disco album in 79, was all of a sudden releasing their most metal album in 82, right? Because everybody was jumping on the bandwagon. So that's what we're comparing it to. We're trying to go back to where our headspace was in 87.
Yeah.
And also, upon reflection, some of those albums we loved in 87 do not stand the test of time. So we're going back and revisiting some that we might have missed the first go around. So that's the way
Very well said, Alan. Very well said. What is metal today might not necessarily have been metal back then, but vice versa, right?
Yeah.
So here it is. Now I want everybody to comment. Number 9, it's back for the Attack Dokken or Manowar Fighting the World. And I kind of was leaning more towards Manowar, and I'll tell everybody why. Maybe it didn't sell millions of copies back then, but they did define a genre. They started this sort of, you know, hail to the Lord Valhalla and all that stuff. And, you know, they, to this
Carry
day,
on.
To this day, they are selling out festivals all around the world. This is like a band to contend with, right? Maybe in the US and Canada, they're not that big, but in the rest of the world, they are massive. And that album, Fighting the World, is their breakthrough album. That's the go-to. When you think of Manowar, you think of that album. So tell us what you think. Manowar or Dokken for number 9?
I'm going with Dokken.
All right. I'm going with Manowar.
Since I'm splitting it, right? Because you guys came up with this unbeknownst to me, so I'm siding with Todd on this.
So what does everybody think? Manowar or Dokken?
Well,
Which one?
Okay. Based on the criteria and genre defining, I would have to go with Manowar, even though I'm not a Manowar fan.
Okay.
I don't think that was a genre defining album for Dokken. It just happens to be my favorite.
And that's fine too. That's fine.
But
too.
in that context, you know, I think Manowar had a bigger impact within the context of what we're talking about. For that reason, I would go with Manowar, even though to me it's, you know,
but not to drag this part on, but look at it this way. Dokken sold maybe like 1 million copies of their album, where Manowar, I don't even know if they hit 1 million copies today on their album.
In the US, but I mean Europe?
Globally, I don't think they hit 1 million copies on Fighting the World, but it's known as the album, right, over the years. So
anyway. The Back for the Attack record, I don't think is the known album. It's people will go for Tooth and Nail or Under Lock and Key or something like that.
All right.
Yeah, and that's one of the reasons why we put an earlier doc. I think it was Under Lock and Key onto our top 10 that year, because it was much more of a representative of what Dokken's peak was at that time. So it doesn't matter. I'm glad Back for the Attack was on my list. It just to make my top 10, and I'm glad we slipped it in.
No more.
Somebody
no
is
more
saying
surprises. No more.
You got to agree. You have John Katsudas.
Oh yeah, Johnny Yasu.
Yeah, he's saying Yasu, guys.
Yasu, John. It must be late.
All right.
Now. Wow, it must be really late. Okay, here we go. Number 8. Here it is.
We'll let Todd do this one.
Todd, it's all yours. There you go.
Well, it's all yours, Todd. We're gonna sit back.
Okay, number 8. I'm probably gonna catch a lot of shit for this, but I don't care.
Okay, it's all right. It's all right.
Because it's not metal.
Well, it was back then.
It was hair metal for sure.
But one of my favorite records from this era is number 8, White Lion Pride.
Mm-hmm.
I love every song.
Wait, Todd, wait. Okay, go ahead.
I love, I mean, Vito Bratta's guitar playing. There was a lot of guys finger tapping and doing all that stuff, but he had a more, I don't know, something about his playing just poked out more. It was all those little tricks, you know, like in between the chords, he would do these cool little things. And I just thought it was really fun, you know, fun rock, and the songs had hooks and it was melodic, and I don't know, man. It's just one of my favorite records. I still love what are the Lady of the Valley. I mean, all those songs on that record are so good. So
my cousin, and I told you guys this, my cousin was a guitarist, a really great guitarist. And back then he would play this album over and over and over again. It's because it was a guitarist album. That's what it was. Guitarists love to listen to this stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, it's melodic. It's fun. And you know what? It was a sign of the times, that band, that music, that style was, it reflected what 1987 was about.
Totally.
So, and it sold 2 million copies. So it hits critique's choice. It hits the album sales. And I guess, what else? And it's a sign of the times.
The worst pairing I've ever seen was White Lion opening for AC/DC on Blow Up Your Video tour.
Wow, that's not fair to White Lion. I don't see the AC/DC crowd like
exactly. We were all a little bit lost, but you know, we appreciated Wait, and you know, like you said, Lady of the Valley, and the songs are playing already. But again, that was in '88. So this album came out in '87, so it did take a while, but when it took off, oh boy, did it take off. I think it stayed on the charts for a year, actually. So,
wow.
All right, so I'm going to read some comments here, okay? Great to see a musician, I guess they're referring to Todd, not me and Alan.
Yeah, well,
enjoying a conversation about music like another fan. Cheers, Todd.
Right on, and thanks. But I'm not the only musician here.
Yeah, Alan is.
There's another
slapping
singer.
The bass.
There's
Alan too.
There's another singer on this show right now too.
Alan.
Yeah.
Jimmy, I do a little singing, and I play a little guitar, and I play keyboards. Yes.
Savatage.
Oh, good, very good.
Alan,
he's saying stop.
I mean, Jimmy was in a band called Truant.
Well, there you go. Was this on the? You Googled
and he
him
showed
or
me
what?
a picture. It was so fucking cool. He has this cool jeans vest on, and he's got kind of long hair, and he's got the mic, and he's doing his thing. So he understands. Both these guys understand when we talk about music, because you know they're not just listeners, but they actually play something. So.
You didn't see Alan sing and play the bass. You never saw that picture. You
never
never saw that picture.
Retired.
I got to show you that one.
One show
I gotta
retired.
see that.
Go out on top. One
You're
show
here.
retire. Put the bass in the corner. That's it.
That's right.
All right, we're going to number 7.
All right. Where are we now? Okie doke. Number 7. Oh, I'll let Todd speak to this. I know he's a big fan. Here it is. Savatage. Coming from Florida, right?
Yeah.
Hall of the Mountain King.
And I'm friends with those guys, and I mean that's such a good album, and you know that title track. You know, when they play live concerts, people like to hear, you know, sirens. When they start out, people just lose their shit. And they, you know, it's just such a killer song. They're an amazing band. John Oliva is a great songwriter. And yeah, I mean, that's like one of the all-time great Savatage records. I mean, Streets is great, and Edge of Thorns is great, but boy, that Hall of the Mountain King record, I still listen to it. And like 24 Hours Ago.
Yeah, great opener.
Strange Wings, or Strange, what's it called? She flies strange wings upon a thin disguise. You know, it's like, that's a classic record, so that has to go in this list for sure.
I remember when that came out, it was kind of like, what happened? They're not hair metal. They didn't know how to classify them back then. They're prog? No, wait a second. They're heavy metal. Like, I think they're just classic heavy metal. Yeah.
just great metal. Yeah.
But again, it goes back to what you were saying, Jim. You know, we had like the thrash and hair metal kind of competing, and then you had these bands that kind of, hey, what happened? You know, Iron Maiden is still a good band. You know, we should sound like them, and let's carry on that pure heavy metal tradition. I think this is a great example of that. And like I said, I missed this the first time around, and I'm glad I was able to revisit it for this list today. So,
Todd,
yeah, when you look at the list, oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, Metallic Phoenix says, Todd, thank you for actually reading comments. Most guests don't do that. And by the way, I'm a huge fan of the metal voice.
Yeah,
Rachel.
Thank you for the nice words. And, you know, I think that I'm just a fan, just like everybody else. I'm not special. I'm not separated from anybody else. I'm the same as everybody else. I don't see myself as up here and they're down. We're just on the other side of the barricade because I happen to be on stage. But believe me, when I'm not on stage and there's bands playing that I love, I'm right in the front. At these festivals, I'll go right up front, right in front of the barricade in the photo pit, and people will be like, they'll see that's me, and I'm like singing just right along with them. I'm a fan of this stuff too. So
very cool stuff.
The next band, we're definitely gonna have some
kickback.
Some kickback.
Hold on a sec. Hold on. Where are we? Okay, here it is. Okay, I gotta set this up. I gotta have to set this up.
All right, okay, tell me when you're ready.
Don't show yet.
I'm sorry, but this had to make it.
Okay, so this was: are these guys metal? Do they deserve to be there? Have they sold enough albums?
Huh.
And yeah.
What?
So here we go.
Checkbox, check.
Hold on, wait.
I just it's okay.
What was anybody not in favor of this band on the list?
Well,
I don't know. We got trashed last time because we put, we were thinking about putting David Lee Roth and Van Halen. You were one of them. So we got those two guys.
Dude,
Kickback's coming from Todd. No, guys, listen. I mean, I talk about a comeback album of comeback albums. This is 4 years in the making as well. But look at side one, okay? Women, Rocket, Animal, Love Bites, Pour Some Sugar on Me, and Armageddon. That's the greatest hits album. That's the greatest hits album, right? Plus, you got the Hysteria on side two, right?
The question.
Read side two. Hold on. Read side two.
Side two is Gods of War, good song. Don't Shoot, Shotgun, okay. Run Riot, Hysteria, Excitable, and Love and Affection.
Yeah.
So
big album.
You have to understand when this came out, this played on the radio 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Like just one song after another. It was huge. You couldn't go anywhere with. That's why I never bought it until 20 years or 30 years later because you didn't need to. It was playing on the radio all the time.
Yeah.
I mean, look, Mutt Lange. I've watched. I think it was a behind the music on that, it was about this record, and like the layers of guitars were so ridiculous. But you know what? Like I wouldn't want to make a record like that with that many guitars. But one guitar is going gung 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 gung. Then another one's going gotta gotta gotta. And then another one's going doodle-doo-doo, doodle-doo-doo. And then one's going bring, bring. So you add all this and you just get this wall of sound that is just like, and those vocals, those backing vocals had they had that air. Remember back in the 80s, the backing vocals had a very like a breathy, airy quality to the way they sounded.
I mean, they reinvented
you can hear that on the White Lion album too. You can hear that kind of backing vocal air.
But right? You know what? A lot of people don't know this, that Rick Allen, he didn't play the drums on Pyromania. He didn't play the drums on Hysteria.
What do you mean?
He just did a little bit of cymbal stuff. It was all programmed drums. He didn't play on Pyromania. It was all drum sounds and he played it was program stuff, and he would do like a little cymbal stuff, and you can look that up. You can look that up. It's just he was probably there jamming the band, rehearsing with the band. Then he had that big accident, right?
Yep.
And he didn't. And it's unfortunate, though. He did have that accident. He did lay some drum. He probably did the scratch tracks. That's what I would think. And then they sort of like overdid. Because Mutt Lange had that specific drum sound that he was after.
Well, why did it take four years to release that?
Well, because they had Jim Steinman as the producer, and then they sort of bought him off, and he quit. And then Rick Allen went to an accident. Then they wanted to produce it themselves. And they go, okay, no, we can't produce it ourselves. So then they waited for Mutt Lange. And, And
I've heard that Nigel Green, the engineer, did most of the work on this album.
Why is this guy saying, Aaron Alcott is saying, I really hope Todd is looking up his factoid as we speak. What is it? I don't know what he's talking about.
I guess they're saying, are we looking the facts to what I'm saying here? That Pyromania, and again, look, if I'm wrong, by all means, you know, correct me if I'm wrong, but this is what I remember.
Hey, Jimmy.
Yeah. You know what they say to that? Nah.
La parta.
All right.
Kalinita, Todd. Kalinita.
That's right.
Again, taking Def Leppard at the time, even though Def Leppard never considered them a heavy metal band, they were lumped in with everybody else. And trust me, after this album came out, everybody tried to sound like Def Leppard as well. So
it's true. It's true. They had a little bit of a sweet sort of back vocals. And I think that's where it came from the band Sweet, those big airy back vocals. But the question is to everybody out there, is Def Leppard a metal band, and do they deserve to be on this list of 1987? We say yes, but maybe fans say no.
Yeah, but still, are we saying these are the top metal albums of 87 or the top albums
of 1987?
we should. Todd's a little unclear of the concept of this, so we should have made it more clear at the beginning of the show.
They're not a metal band, but goddamn.
But maybe back then they were followed by the metal
they were
folks.
lumped in back for sure. If you asked anybody back in '87 if these guys were pop, jazz, they were.
Yeah, if you listen to Full and back then, that was it. That was heavy.
How about this, Todd? Relating to Queensryche, you had the EP, right, which was metal. You had Warning, what was metal, and then you had Rage for Order. Was it metal? And I asked you this question before. Is it metal? It was coming from a metal band, but it really wasn't a metal album, right?
I don't consider that but again, going to what Alan says, in the context, if you hear a song like Screaming in Digital, okay, maybe that would be metal. It was very forward thinking at the time for sure. So
Queensryche was opening for Ozzy. They weren't opening for Tiffany.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
So.
Right.
All right.
Okay. Next.
Let's move on. Let's move on. All right, here we go. Number 5.
This one. Unless first of all,
I'm going to show you. I got the album right here. You ready?
I'm dedicating to my good friend Stiff Rod.
There you go. Here it is. Here it is.
There you go.
I dug it up.
It's like 78.
You dedicate that to Stiff
Rod.
Rod.
87. Oh, I thought it was 78. You're right. Yes.
This is what I'm talking about.
Look at that. Look at that beauty. Look at that.
I'm the man. I'm so bad. I'm the man. Anthrax, Amongst the Living. Which of course.
Is that the back of the record?
No, this is their EP that they released afterwards.
I'm the man. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I'm the Man EP. Caught in a Mosh, Indians Live. I Am the Law, I should say.
Yeah.
But again, you talk about genre defining, right?
Yeah.
You got the skateboard look. This is actually a rap song here. I'm the Man's a rap song. They got the hats, they got the shorts. Everybody was moshing. Look at these guys with the shorts. I remember wearing these shorts
jams
for 2 summers straight. Everybody wanted to look like Scott Ian with the hat flipped up and those shorts.
Jams.
They were, they wanted to be Metallica clones or Megadeth clones. They started their own niche.
You know where I learned the word jams from? From Florida, being in Florida.
No
Everybody
kidding.
was wearing jams.
I haven't heard that term in ages.
It was bathing suits when I left Montreal, but when I went to Florida, it was jams.
Jams. Wow, that's funny. I always thought that album cover, I remember seeing it on a T-shirt from somebody in school, and it just looked haunting. When you look at the cover, the other characters don't look as, on the T-shirt, they don't look as, I don't know, haunting. But when you look at the T-shirt, they look more. It looks more sinister. On the cover, it's a little cleaner and not quite as scary. But I remember that guy with the hat, on the cover of that record. And I always loved the guitar tone of Anthrax, even to this day. They've got a really, I don't know what kind of amps they use. I don't know what they're using, but I always loved the crunch on it. The mids were kind of scooped out of it, and. I know that was a huge record for Anthrax. I'm not a big fan of that. I'm not a massive fan of that album. I like, Cry for the Indians and, but there are other Anthrax records that I like better. But I know that was a monumental album for the band.
You know what? And this is Marcy says a great point here. That album cover is from Poltergeist.
Yes, that's what I was going to say.
What? Yes.
He was a character
that's the character in
Poltergeist 2
that's
or
right.
1?
In 1. In 1.
You think it was 1? I thought it was 2.
The priest, the first priest, wasn't it the first priest? Like there was 2 priests, the older guy and the younger guy. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's.
I know it was from Poltergeist. I don't know which one. So we'll ask our viewers out there. But yeah, that's.
Oh, Poltergeist. No, I'm screwing up with The Exorcist. No, Poltergeist. Yes.
Oh, it's Poltergeist.
Yeah, it's Poltergeist.
You said Poltergeist. Get your factoids right.
Yeah, you factoids. We're gonna start checking factoids.
What the?
But again,
Rick Allen, what the hell's going on? Rick Allen didn't play on Hysteria. Go ahead.
Hey, it's called getting your post-engagement stats up there.
All right, Jim. Number 4 has got you written.
Wait a second. I'm not finished with number 5, Alan.
Oh, sorry, Jim.
I just want to say that when you think of Anthrax, this is, and even the band themselves will say this is their album. This is the album they're known for. This is the album they play. Like guys, we're gonna play the whole album from start to finish on tour.
Right.
This is the album. It's not my favorite album, but amongst the Anthrax fans, it is. So I think it's a great album, but it's not.
I think my buddy Stiff Rod. I think he wore out the grooves on this one. He wore out the grooves. I mean, that's how much he liked this album.
Stiff Rod used to help us carry the lights when we went on interviews. Good old Stiff Rod.
Stiff Rod holds my towel.
All right, Alan, go ahead. Number 4.
Oh no, you go ahead.
Sorry, me.
Fingerprints
it's
are all
true.
over
Okay,
this,
number
Jimmy.
4. Number 4.
This is your favorite album.
I'll bring out number 4. Here it is, my favorite album. Number 4. Grease is the word.
Keep going back to that well, Jim. Keep going. It never gets old.
It always works twice, not a third time.
Keep milking it, Jim.
No. Number 4, King Diamond, Abigail. Very similar to Anthrax. This is the go-to album. They've been playing this song, or actually they've been playing this album on tour from start to finish many, many, many times. They have videos released on this whole album. They even came out with part 2 of Abigail. King Diamond is known for this album. This is probably one of, amongst King Diamond fans, and I'm one of them, his greatest album. It is his greatest album. It always will be his greatest album. And that's all I got to say. I think I just love it from start to finish. I met King. You know what I did? As I was talking to King, we're just sitting there chit-chatting. He's talking to me. I go, King's talking to me? And we're standing there. He was waiting. I was backstage with Andy LaRock, okay? Because, long story. But he invited me backstage, and I was there, and we're standing around. He goes, I'm going to introduce you to King. And then King's there, and he starts talking to me. He's talking to me, and then his baby comes. His wife brings his baby. His baby's there, King and his baby, and it was bizarre. Great meeting him.
Sacrifice this.
I was so touched. I ended up hugging him, and I ended up hugging King, and it's kind of like, whoa, what are you doing?
Yeah, I would be a little freaked too, Jimmy, if you just go and hug me out of nowhere. So,
anyways, King was amazing. Very, very down to earth.
Again, something very unique. Let's for me, it's very unique. It really stands out. Nothing sounded like this, as far as I'm concerned. Nothing on this list, at least. So,
yeah. Any thoughts on King Diamond?
My friend Andre Van Show is an awesome singer, and he sings in a King Diamond tribute band. He does the full makeup. His voice sounds just like him. He knows all that stuff. I don't know a lot of the King Diamond stuff or Merciful Fate. You know what? I love the music, but something about the really high falsetto that sounded falsetto-y and less powerful, like a Halford high scream. This was more light.
Yeah.
It never resonated with me, and I know I'm gonna catch shit for it because I'm supposed to say, oh, everybody's fucking great.
K-Man saying get on the King Diamond bandwagon there.
I have immense respect for him.
Of course, yes.
As an artist, and I like the mid-range and lower singing that he does. It's the really, really high stuff that I just don't connect with it. I've tried a million times, but I love the music, and the band is awesome. I've watched interviews from him. He's very well spoken. He seems like a really nice guy. But for me, I'm just not well versed enough in his material to comment, but I do know that people that love King Diamond love that record. I do know that because I have friends that go back.
That's me. I'm one of those. Like, I love everything King Diamond. I love his voice. It's kind of like his greatest asset and his greatest liability. I know Alan.
No,
I try to. Alan, listen to this from King Diamond. Alan's like, it's the high falsetto that sort of sometimes drives people away. But to me, it's his biggest asset. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And,
Well,
he really takes his time writing albums. He takes his time writing the lyrics. He takes his time designing his sets. He's the real deal, man. He puts everything he's got into his shows and into his music.
We played one of the last shows we played on one of our European tours in 2019. We played what was the festival? I think it was Summer Breeze, and we had a really late bus call. And me and Michael and some of the crew guys, we walked. Casey was with us. We walked out to see. It was totally dark, so the set looked amazing. All the lights. And this beautiful, I have video of it. I think actually on my YouTube channel, I have some blogging kind of vlogging footage where I'm watching the King Diamond show from out front. And, it's a whole show, right? It's not just like get up and play songs. It's very theatrical. It's very conceptual. And so you're getting a really full experience with his music, which makes it that much better. As somebody who just enjoys watching shows, but anyway, that's my 3 cents.
All right. Are we ready for number 3? I think
top 3 now. We're in the top 3 of 87. People are already guessing since we started the show, even before we started the show.
Yeah. All right.
So somebody, hold on. Somebody named K-Man Reborn says, learn the story, Todd. Learn the reason why he's singing what he's singing, and you'll get where he's coming from. I have no contention with the storyline or anything he's doing. I'm not really sure of the sentiment behind text, but my critique or criticism, whatever you want to call it, is I don't like the sound of the really high stuff that he does. That's just my opinion. I'm allowed to
Absolutely.
not like.
He's got some great deep tones though. When he sings low, he's
No, I like the lower stuff. It's just the really high stuff. I just don't care for that tone, and that's it. But everything else, I think is great.
Yeah. All right, Alan, you ready? We all agreed on this next one.
Pumpkin Heads Unite.
Here it is. Here's number 3. Oh, see, I caught everybody off guard. I caught everybody off guard. Number 3.
To you by.
You guys thought it would be Grease. It wasn't.
Today's show brought to you by.
And now brought to you by our sponsors.
Number 3.
There we go, guys.
I got the low version.
Reaper of the Keys, part 1.
See, I got 1 and 2 here. I got 1 and 2 here, by the way. This CD here is 1 and 2. Even though I have the album somewhere, I think I have my parents' house or something.
I actually prefer number 3 over. Out of all the keepers, I prefer 3. But that's just my opinion. We're talking 87. So this makes the list, of course, with Mr. Michael Kiske.
Yep.
Oh my gosh. Stand back and let the little boy sing. What do you think about his voice, Todd? Now you got to put your singer hat on.
Put your singer hat on.
When I heard growing up, I think I said on the last show where I learned of Testament and all this, I learned of Helloween from the show called V32. And Helloween, they had a video for that.
Masquerade.
And I thought it was like, and he had a very Jeff Tate, Queensryche, all those, the crying inflections, that he would do. Great range, but I love the, I am the one, that, it was very,
dramatic tone.
Very dramatic, it's shining on me. That whole, great guitars. And I have the record. I still have the CD that I got from way back when. It's in my garage where my stereo is. And it's a killer. What's the ballad, the big ballad, name the big ballad on the record.
Alan, what is it?
Future World, they're still playing. I wouldn't say that's a ballad.
Somebody comment on what the
A Tale That Wasn't Right.
A Tale That Wasn't Right from K-Man Reborn 2. Thank you.
A Tale That Wasn't Right. Good job.
My wife loves that. She plays that in the house. You know, she loves that song. He's great. I mean, it's a killer band. We've played with them a few times, and Andy sings. You know, let's not forget all the great stuff that Andy's done in the band too. Now they tour with both singers, which I don't know why, but I guess it's for the whole Pumpkins United tour thing, and that's what if they're still promoting that, I don't know.
Yeah, they are. They're coming out with an album.
You know, but I'm Alive, or let me Google the track listing.
I was there. I was there at their show of the Darius and Alan didn't make that show. I think you were out of town or something, right?
I was flying to Ireland. The show I anticipated the most. I wanted to see.
Oh, great show, man!
And I was on a
Darius
plane.
And Kiske and the whole band, and you have Kai Hansen.
But what strikes me about this album? Look, we're talking '87. We're far into the game here, and this is their third album, first with Kiske. So that's what strikes me. I mean, I was trying to find Helloween, and I didn't have the money, like I said, in the past shows where they just kind of slipped through the cracks for me. Now I revisited, I got all their albums like 30 years later. I really appreciate the band, but '87, man, like this is far in. Like this, it is. And again, another band like Savatage, right? That's keeping the classic metal sound alive. But the rest of everybody else was going in different directions. So there's very few bands that were actually doing what they were doing at this point.
And vocally, like I say, he had a very similar approach and tone in many ways to like the early Queensryche stuff.
You know how I discovered the album? I'm sure it was either Circus or Hip Raider in the back, and they're just kind of reviewing this album. They go, it's kind of like Jeff Tate and Iron Maiden, you know, it's sort of like between Iron Maiden and Queensryche at the time, right? And I just picked it up because it was a cool cover, and wow, I was just blown away. And to this day, I just love Helloween.
Yeah, for me, the first two albums were like Germany's Iron Maiden. This one, they started getting their own sound. I found when I re-listened to it today, I said, no, they were definitely getting their own sound.
There's a little power metal there. There's a little speed metal there. There's definitely a lot of prog there. So that's what it comes down to. All right, guys, you ready for this?
I'm ready.
You know where you are?
We're number 2, big year, 87. This could almost be 88.
This one I got.
Hold on, let me look at our list. Okay. Oh, okay. We're gonna have some back and forth between this one and number 1.
We'll explain why.
On my birthday, July 21st. Not 87, but
okay. So we were talking about comeback albums and, you know, slow cookers like the White Outline Pride. I mean, you want to talk about a slow cooker.
Oh, yeah, this is a big...
I saw these guys open for Iron Maiden, Seventh Son of the Seventh Son tour. That's in May of '88. And they were just saying, our new video's coming out next week. And that was Sweet Child of Mine. So that's how long it took for this album to really, really, really take off. But when it took off, I mean, it's still selling, I would imagine.
Okay, this album sold, and I guess, correct me if I'm wrong, about 30 million copies worldwide, considered one of the best overall albums ever sold. No, I'm not saying in the top 10, but let's say in the top 50 at least. Worldwide.
Debut album,
especially. So I'm going to tell you, this album came out July 21st on my birthday. I was at a friend's house. He had a copy of it. His brother had a copy of it. I put it on. I go, hey, it sounds pretty cool. And had never heard of the band. Only to love it and then tell my friends about it. My friends used to laugh at me. Oh, it's stupid. Oh, stupid band. This and that. And then there was like something on MTV or Much Music where they played like a live show and they were just laughing at me. These guys are losers. And then 6, 7, 8 months later, they're like one of the biggest bands in the world in 1988. Could have been higher, but Alan's logic is the album only really took off in 1988.
But we're not changing the rules, Todd. It was released in '87. We kept it in '87.
We just brought it down a notch.
You know,
my one of my dear friends, Froda, he was also our tour manager for Crimson Glory, and he manages a band called Pagan's Mind. I think he still works with Circus Maximus too, but he said, so I guess that puts TNT at number 1, right, Todd?
You didn't get the memo.
10,000 lovers.
Dude. All right, look, somebody's like, you know, GNR isn't metal, but
well, that's the big one right here.
Okay.
Let's address this right now.
But neither is White Lion and neither is Def Leppard. So that ship sailed 5 albums ago.
Yeah.
But look, this record was fucking massive, and you didn't, you know, the guy's voice, the way that they had great melodies like Rocket Queen, and you know, I mean, every track on that record is so solid.
Everyone.
That record was massive, and even though it was a late bloomer, so was Operation Mindcrime. Look, Michael and Eddie, they told me they were almost kicked off the Hysteria Def Leppard tour. And then Eyes of a Stranger video came out, and boom, Mindcrime goes nuts. So even though something came out, you know, didn't get as accepted or received or known as well until a little bit later, it was released in that year. That record is insanely good.
Now,
there's nobody's disputing that. Nobody's arguing that.
Look at this. This is a perfect example. If they had poor management and a terrible record company behind them, we wouldn't even be talking about them today. We'd say, oh, Hidden Gem, that album that never really broke. It was because of the people behind them, their managers that sort of shopped it around. They shopped the video. They pushed the video on MTV. MTV was playing it. They got the fan club to sort of call in and request that video. And that's how Welcome to the Jungle took off. And that's how we took off so late. This was almost shelved. This was like, it's not really doing that well. The hell with it. This is a perfect example of if you don't have the right people behind you, behind a great product, you're just collecting dust.
Let's address this as not metal. Have you seen the video for Welcome to the Jungle?
That's right.
Axl's hair. Don't tell me he wasn't influenced by the hair metal of LA in that video, right? Yeah. I mean, even though the sound is completely different. Yeah. I mean, that's what I'm saying. We got to go back. We're putting on our 1987 hats here.
Right.
And we're saying, trust me, they opened for Maiden. Maiden's not a pop band. They opened for Aerosmith. You could say they're a hard rock band. That was a good fitting. The two are very similar groups. But I mean, they were part of the heavy metal movement. That's why they made the list.
Yeah, it was a metal crowd that.
And I remember seeing when I saw them open, I was 19, and all these 16 and 15-year-olds are going crazy. They're blocking my view of the stage. They're going crazy. I'm waiting for Maiden. I'm like, I get these guys off. Slash staggers up to the mic. Shut up. Okay, oh geez, what is this? A bunch of superstars. Nobody even knows these guys exist. But man, the next day I couldn't get Mr. Brownstone out of my head. I was singing it all day long. The song was like drilled into my head. And then you go into the album, you listen to the album. Okay, a few videos come out, and then you see, like Todd said, every song of that album. And years later, like when that, you know, after everybody's been listening for a year, I remember saying, okay, now that they're all multimillionaires, because this was an angry album. I've never heard so much anger on an album in my life, and not fake anger. This is legitimate anger. These guys were pissed off cats, man. And I said, now that they're all millionaire, I'm anxious to see how much anger is on the next album. And we got stuff like Don't Cry and, the one with the rain falling, that November Rain, right?
The rainfall.
Yeah. So, you know, again, the anger, I mean, money doesn't cure
and just so you know, Todd, a little bit of history.
A little less angry, apparently.
And speaking to the anger, just maybe 10 minutes from where we live, that's where the riots happened, the Guns N' Roses riots.
Oh, really?
Yeah, where Metallica's head went on fire, and James Hetfield's head.
That was Michael Jackson. His head was.
No, James Hetfield didn't he?
His arm
went on fire, and Axl Rose sort of like threw the mic down after 6 songs, and they tore up the streets and overturned the cars, and it was a big.
Well, that was after Axl made everybody wait for 2 or 3 hours, right?
That too. So there you go, a little bit of Montreal history there. Todd, any last statement on Guns N' Roses?
I just think, I mean, when that stuff came out, I was a fan of like the Jackson V guitars and the Kellys, and like I saw this guy with this top hat playing a Les Paul. I was like, I'm not really a blues. I don't really like blues stuff that much. And it was a blues. You can hear blues in the rock in that record, but man, the guy his voice, he did really, interesting things, and he had just a unique tone, whether you love it or hate it. The songs were great, and like Alan said, there's this young, F the world kind of thing that was really pure about it, and you can hear that in the writing and the playing. And I mean, that record today, God, they still play songs off of that. It's, who knew that it would be so many years later that it would be hailed as one of the great records of all time, and I think it is.
It is, definitely.
I think so too.
No argument there.
Yeah.
And to sort of like say it's not a metal album, we shouldn't include it, is kind of like ignoring that white elephant in the room. It's just standing there. You can't ignore it. You just
Well, you know why? Because we I had to Google records of, rock metal albums of 1987 to see what's in the list. Like Lizzie Borden.
Yes. Where's Lizzie Borden?
I think that guy's voice is so good. I love his voice. He has a really unique sound, and so their Loudness put a record out. But when we go by the criteria, it's like, unfortunately, you got to make some of those cuts. Although TNT Tell No Tales, wasn't that 87? Okay,
yes.
That's one of my all-time favorite records ever.
We'll talk about that in a few moments. How's that? We'll talk about the ones we should have been on. The hidden gems.
Before getting to number one, we'll let Todd talk about his
All right,
hidden
go
gem.
ahead. Say it.
I
Say what you
love
want to
this
say.
idea.
Say TNT, baby.
There
TNT.
you go. His hidden gem is TNT. Tell No Tales.
TNT.
I mean, Ronnie Latecro's, that machine gun, and Tony Harnell's voice is so good. And I love, Knights of New Thunder, and, but my favorite is Tell No Tales. That record is just awesome. And, I've become good friends with Tony, and we've talked about, how influential that record, and, that record was very influential. And it was one of I could never sing like that, but I love, there's so much good melody on there, and any fan of TNT knows.
He was singing pretty high, man. He was singing.
His voice was. Lord. I mean, if you listen to Tell, I can probably hit that when I was in Crimson Glory, but it was stuff, man. Just, that I'm not going to get into the nooks and crannies.
Well, where would you put it in number 10 out of a top 10 list? Where would you put TNT's album?
If you're
making your own list here, where would you put it?
Of my favorite records among that list?
87, yes. Your friends are watching.
I would probably hold on. Let me look at this list again. I would put TNT at number one among all.
Wow.
I would put Tell No Tales above every album on this list.
That's right. That's why it's a hidden gem.
There you go.
There's some albums that just hit us right here. We can't explain why.
That and Back for the Attack for me are my top two favorite albums on this whole list.
There you
go. CK wants to know, is he from Canada, Alan? And he has a funny accent. I guess, is that you? Alan, you have a funny accent.
I have a funny accent.
Who would have thought? I wouldn't know. Okay, so you guys ready?
Yeah, I'm trying to get back to the comments here. Hold on a second. Let me get
Just so everybody knows out there, me and Alan, we live 10 minutes from each other, but we actually do this Skype/Zoom thing.
Jim, you got a hidden gem you want to throw in here?
Oh, I got a lot of hidden gems.
Well, go ahead.
Throw it in right now. How's this?
Todd just did his. You can do yours.
Yeah, give me your hidden gem. I'm trying to find the comments.
A band that a lot of people know I'm a huge fan of is Death Angel.
Oh yeah,
Death Angel. Ultra Violence. Here's a bunch of 17-year-olds, 18-year-olds skateboarding second wave of thrash back in 1987. What an album, and what a band today. Also, Loudness, as Alan has in the back there, Hurricane Eyes. I love that album. I think it's a great album. It's got a lot of diversity. Udio.
Animal House.
I think that's another cool album. Does it meet all our criteria? Probably not. Voivod, Montreal band or Quebec band. Killing Technology. Good Friends. Testament, The Legacy. I think it's a worthwhile mention, even though I don't think it meets all our criteria. I don't think they've kind of developed their style yet. They're not there yet, but it's a good debut album. And Dio, Dream Evil.
Yeah.
You know, I don't think it's his best, but I think it's his fourth best since his fourth album. And that's it. Those are my hidden gems. Alan?
There you go.
I didn't know we were allowed more than one.
Well, go ahead. You said
Jimmy.
I'm not a host. I just wear.
You give Jimmy an inch.
Look at my shirt,
mile,
guys.
right?
Look at my shirt. What is that? Metal Hall of Fame. Look at that.
We said Jimmy just one, and he comes up with 12.
Well, no, I had a list. Alan goes, "We should have some hidden gems." So I started writing hidden gems. I got to start thinking of things.
Well, there you go. I guess I'll go with this one right here behind me here.
And rolling out it. Oh, okay.
It's not a metal album. It's not a metal album.
That's me.
Aerosmith, Permanent Vacation. It was a great comeback. We're talking about comeback. Like I said, year of the comeback. I thought that was a great one. So if I had to last minute
Helix, where's your Helix? You got Helix back there.
Helix. I won't say anything. I won't do like Jimmy and say 14 different great hidden gems or top 10s, but that was a nice comeback from Gary Moore too, from his attempt at pop balladry on Run for Cover. So
what about Helix?
There we go. Now we're at number 1.
Helix.
And now a word from our sponsor.
Wait a second. Here we
go. Get their
Todd LaTorre.
Todd LaTorre.
Todd LaTorre. Have you picked it up? Available on all Amazon platforms.
Solo album.
iTunes.
There you go.
Or just buy direct.
That's funny.
All right.
Now number 1.
We'll go with number 1 and we'll
Look, if I open it up, Todd, what happens? Oh, look, you got all the lyrics. I didn't even notice. You got all the lyrics.
You got the photos.
Oh, look at that. Look at these guys. Angry. Tell us about your buddy there, your writing partner.
His name is Craig Blackwell. Mm-hmm. He's a lifelong friend of mine, awesome guitarist, songwriter. He and I did the whole record together, and he co-wrote with me, and he played all the guitars and bass and some keyboards on the album. So yeah.
Respect. There you go. A little bit of a plug for Craig.
Yeah.
I just want to throw this out because a hidden gem here. Lydia's been writing this for the last half an hour.
Good.
I think she wants Pretty Maids,
yes,
Future World to be in there. So
all right. And Thor, 87. Did Thor come out with an album?
Oh,
I love Thor.
You would
love Thor.
All right, guys, here we go, and I'll explain.
Are we both Canadian? Yes, we're both Canadian, except for Todd. He's American. All right, here we go.
Bought
killed the build-up.
The day it came out. The day it came out, and by July, I put it in my closet and didn't listen to it for 3 years. It was that massive. Talked about Def Leppard playing everywhere. When Whitesnake came out, first of all, this is also an album that took forever to make. Coverdale had vocal problems. John Sykes had 26 tracks of guitar. It was John Collardner, the worst album he ever had to produce. It was just a mess from Slide It In all the way to now. But man, the end result speaks for itself. And being a huge John Sykes fan, I mean, this album, again, Crying in the Rain, which was previously released. Then you got Bad Boys, Still in the Night, which was their Zeppelin tribute, right? Here I Go Again, which was previously released. But again, nobody followed them when they were over in Europe, right? The biggest band in Europe, and Ozzy's opening for them in Europe. And here, they're the third on the bill, right?
They're all blonde. Suddenly, Rudy Sarzo.
Is This Love? Is the ballad? Children of the Night are straight ahead rockers, straight for the heart. Don't Turn Away, I thought was a great closer. Give Me All Your Love. They still play to this day. I mean, and this album was instantaneous. When you talk, like we said, Guns N' Roses, which kind of took its time, like a fine wine. This one hit the radios right away. And of course, the videos with Tawny Kitaen didn't hurt any.
Flying out of a car.
So I mean, it went viral. The videos went viral, and it was like that Def Leppard album. The songs were just being released one after another, right? Still of the Night, and then Crying in the Rain, and then they just Is This Love, the ballad. I think they had 4 or 5 videos just off of this album.
I met John Sykes.
I met John Sykes once too.
And he's a really tall guy, right? I'm 5'8", so he's like this really tall guy hovering over me. I go, hey, you're John Sykes. and I didn't take a picture or anything like that, and that's about it.
I met him when
they shake his hand at the Metal Hall of Fame.
I met him when Blue Murder played.
I love Blue Murder.
I saw Blue Murder play, and I got to meet him. I think they opened up for Warrant, I think.
Oh, wow.
So I'm on Wikipedia really quick, and I'm just looking at their studio records. That's the 7th studio album.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah,
and I mean, of course, there's remakes. You know, the remake of "Here I Go," right? No, not "Here I Go." Which one is it, Alan?
Yeah, it was off of the 1980 album.
Yeah,
You have 2 of them on this. You've got
that's right, "Crying in the Rain."
And you've got "Here I Go Again."
I mean, think about this, Todd.
Off of
10 million
Saints and Sinners.
Yeah, 10 million copies sold. You know, 10 million copies sold worldwide. This was a big. "Here I Go Again" remake, and "Crying in the Rain" was a remake.
But I was a huge Whitesnake fan. Listen, my friend introduced me to Slide It In. I went back and bought all the previous albums. Ready and Willing's my favorite Whitesnake album. I listened to, I had all their older stuff. And then this finally comes out. Like I said, I bought it the day it came out. And then I listened to it, gone crazy, loved it. But it was oversaturated. You couldn't go anywhere without hearing these songs. And I literally put it away for 3 years without listening to it. There was no need to listen to it. The songs were everywhere. So
yeah, it was massive. I was in another band called Espionage for a while. We played all these gigs, local clubs around here, and we covered a bunch of stuff off of that. I mean, it was, and like you say, the videos, I mean, they were massive. They were massive, and of course, that's when MTV is like, blowing you
off the charts.
Off the charts, dude. God, I wish I was doing.
Still of the Night. When it's like, is this Led Zeppelin? What is this? What's going on here? It's just the midsection with a dun 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 dun. That violin. Yeah. It's like, oh, and then his scream comes in right before the solo. It's like perfection. That's like a perfect hard rock and blues song. I mean, it's not metal, but back then, Whitesnake kind of catered to the metal crowd. I mean.
So our buddy Martin Popoff wrote a great book about Whitesnake, and he really focuses a lot on this album. I mean, John Kalodner wanted Coverdale and Sykes to be the next Jimmy Page, Robert Plant. He saw the potential. 2 good-looking guys, massive talents, great songwriters. He was like, this is Jaggers and Richards. We can go decades with these guys. And by the time this was released, John was already out of the band.
Did he quit? Was he fired? We'll never know.
He was, apparently.
Let's just say butting of heads. He wrote this whole album. He co-wrote this great album.
According to Popoff's book, Coverdale was having so many problems with his vocals. But one of the reasons why he had having so many problems with his vocals is John was using like a wah-wah pedal or something, and he had 26 tracks, and there's no way he can place his tunings as a singer. I mean, Todd could probably elaborate on this. When the guitars are all over the place, it was hard for him to find the right pitch to get into tune. So
interesting. Yeah. But I remember reading something about it was an interview with John Sykes and how irritated he was that here's the video. And here's, Adrian Vandenberg, or here's these other guys playing, and it's like the guy's not even, it reminds me of the Robert Fleischman.
That's right, Vinnie Vincent.
Milli Vanilli.
I think even Jeff Scott Soto had a similar situation with
yes, he did.
Singing something and somebody else is in the video. I think I'm correct on that, but I know I'm right with the Robert Fleischman. What was the song?
It was the first song by Vinnie Vincent Invasion.
Whatever it was called. Boys Are Gonna Rock or something.
Probably, yeah. Boys Are Gonna Rock, yeah.
But I mean, it got to the point. John's like, we don't need David. We could go on without him. And it's his band, Whitesnake. I mean, his first album was literally called David Coverdale's Whitesnake.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I'll leave the sexual imagery to yourself.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So I mean, and John's like, hey, we don't need this guy. We're full speed ahead. I think that's where he lost the plot a bit. But hey, look, to our benefit, we got great album like Blue Murder that came from that afterwards. So
yeah. All right. Any more hidden gems, guys?
Well, I'm sure you have another 20 up your sleeve.
No, I'm done. I'm
good too.
Good.
So
all right.
So no,
Todd,
guys, there's a 1987. Kind of a transitional year for everything we explained. Anxious to get to 88. I already started, and there's some really big hitters coming in 88. So
yeah, I think there's some interesting stuff. Thrash has really taken off by then, right? So yeah, all right, good list.
And thanks for everybody on the comments. I see somebody was talking about a cool V guitar that they have. Let me see.
You know, Eternal Idol. I just want to talk about Eternal Idol for a second before we go off. It's a great album. And I go through the criteria on this. Did it sell a lot at the time? No, it did not sell a lot. Maybe over time it sold. It's not like it went platinum, double platinum, triple platinum at the time. And it could have, but it didn't. Did the critics love it at the time? It was a 50-50 split. They're saying this is not Black Sabbath, right?
Exactly.
I don't even know who they are.
Eternal Idol, Black Sabbath.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Black Sabbath, Eternal Idol. Yeah.
Oh, there it is. Okay.
Yeah. And was it genre defining? Was it like, wow, all these new bands are starting to play just like them? No. So I mean, it really doesn't really meet any of the markers.
I'm putting.
I do like the album though.
I'm putting The Shining. I love that song.
Yeah.
I'm putting my 1987 hat on. I'm pretending I'm back into the record store and Black Sabbath. This is a joke.
Yeah.
The album, when it was launched, went right into the $3.99 bin. You understand? That's how much of a joke. 7-star. You know, it was a Tony Iommi Black solo album.
That was a big slap in the face.
They couldn't get rid of a Black Sabbath. So that was a joke. That went straight to the $3.99 bin. Yeah. Then you lose track. Ozzy's exploding. Ozzy's the biggest star in the world by this point, right? Geezer's not in the band. Bill Ward's not in the band. Dio's doing his own thing. And Tony's there. And nobody was following them. It was over for them. So yes, I revisited this years later. I love The Shining. There's some great songs on here. But back in '87, this was underground, man.
Back then, think of a band that's completely under the radar today. That was Black Sabbath. You might love the album today, but back then they were done. That's what it felt like. They're washed up.
I like the Dio Black Sabbath stuff.
Ah, me too. Oh yeah.
I mean, they're not even in the same conversation.
All right. Well, you know what? Thank you everybody for jumping on. Todd, thanks again. Some great insight.
Thank you everyone, and thanks so much for the awesome shirt.
Nice.
And it fits. It fits. You got one to fit.
That's it.
I love it.
And there we go.
We just ordered more because all of our shirts sold out. So I talked to the company today. They're restocked. So
nice.
I'll send both of you guys.
Nice. Thank you so much. There you go. Pick it up, Todd LaTorre.
Yeah, pick it up.
Awesome.
All right. Have a nice night, everybody.
Thank you, Todd.
Good to see you, buddy. Okay. Thanks so much,
Thanks,
Jimmy.
everyone, for tuning in. And, we'll get to 1988 soon enough.
Todd, Kalinichta.
Kalinichta. Taseparo Argotera.
That's good. Yeah, he's really good. Alan doesn't know what he's saying, but he's really good.
Nope. I like what he's eating. It looks good though. So
I said I'll call you later, Stiff Rod.
Good old Stiff Rod.
Hey, you'll get to if you come to Montreal, we'll introduce you to Stiff Rod, the legendary Stiff Rod.
He looks like a Stiff Rod.
Bring the grease album.
All right.
All right. Thanks, Todd. Thanks, everybody.